found the job that I normally have. So anyway, yes, it's like that. There are a couple more segments like that. That's what KillRoy Was Here is like. And as you see, KillRoy doesn't always play the main part. He just kind of pops in at the end of that one and dispenses a little fucking justice. It looks fucking good, man. That was really cool experience for me. Thank you. Alright, let's open it up to you guys and figure out what you want to talk about, man. Throw up your hand, you can ask me anything, and we'll chit-chat for a little bit. Bang, how are you? Look at you with that Kevin Smith Club shirt.
I'm Memphis Megan. Thank you so much.
How are you, Memphis Megan? Everyone give it up for Megan.
It is 400 years in the future.
400 years in the future.
All of Kevin Smith material is treated like Shakespeare.
All of the Kevin Smith material is treated like Shakespeare.
What does that universe look like?
What does that universe look like? Probably a lot like the inside of my head. There's John Malkovich. Like that scene you did with John Malkovich. Nothing would delight me more. Don't get me wrong, I think I've gotten the proper amount of respect in this life. Like, I don't feel like, oh, they never understood me. I think they get me pretty well. I do think my shit ages better, though. Like, I do think with time it tends to do better. So I don't think I'll ever be viewed like fucking Shakespeare. But I do think that, like, when I'm done, they'll be like, oh, that was interesting. You know, while it's going on, they hit you with like, that's good, you suck, you're terrible, you're great and shit. But really, you can't gauge your career until it's finished. The trick to that is to not fucking stop until I'm dead. Then when I'm dead, I don't give a shit what they say. But you leave a long enough tail and they'll have something to talk about. I mean, what was my job in this world? I didn't have it. I had no fucking function. And I chose that. I was like, I'm gonna tell them Kevin Smith stories until I drop dead. And so far, so good. You know, I haven't had to go back to work at Quick Stop the way I used to work. Now if I go back to work, like make a movie there. So I don't know if my shit will outlast me, to be honest. I don't know if it's timeless. I'm almost 30 years in on a career, so I do have perspective on Clerks. I'm shocked that it still works as well as it does. I never thought that movie would play outside of New Jersey. I thought it was very regional. I thought you had to know Jason Hughes to find it funny. But I forgot that everybody, everywhere, every part of the fucking world has had a shitty job. And that's truly what that movie's about. It doesn't matter what I thought it was about, because I didn't want to make a movie about work. I fucking hate work. That's why I made that movie, because I didn't want to work in the convenience store and shit like that. But ultimately, it's a pay-on to work. And that's how most people view work. You know, very rarely do people fucking skip to work and shit. It's something most people have to do. And for that reason, and because it's in black and white and shit, it'll work forever. I'm shocked it's worked this long, but I'm convinced it'll work till the end. The only way it doesn't work anymore is if, like, we lose an entire species, right? Like, if there's, you know, if all of a sudden every fucking male on the planet died, I guess the movie would work better as a document about, like, this is what they were like. Yeah, I can't see what would change, unless, like, I did something horrible. If I get canceled, then I guess Clerks will be good. But the notion of it still working gives me hope that I got at least one. Like, the only reason people talk about Kevin Smith movies is because I generate the conversation constantly. You know, I'm the one going, what about Kevin Smith? You know, I do that a lot. If I drop dead, that probably stops with me. And you know, it stops with the t-shirts stop, and that probably goes away with me. Okay? Thank you. But Clerks, I feel like, is going to keep going, because as long as people have to have jobs they don't want, that movie can still work. And when I meet kids who are like 18, they're like, I love Clerks, I'm like, you were cum when we made that movie. Like, what could you possibly see in it? And what they're saying in it is exactly what I was trying to avoid when I made the movie. Work. Like, that's everybody does everything they can at their job to avoid doing their job. They'll have a 20-minute conversation about some fucking bullshit because that's 20 less minutes of theirs. I've stole back 20 minutes, and granted it was useless conversation. Water cooler talk, but like made me feel like I'm my own person and not somebody who's working for somebody else. So I could see that movie as President. People still talk about dogma, and that just means that there are a lot of Catholics in the world and shit. So if
Which
that
you can
movie,
only see on YouTube now, by the way.
that's true. That's the place to see it. The movie, a lot of people ask, like, how come I can't find that anymore? Clench your assholes, kids.
Weinstein.
It's owned by Harvey Weinstein personally. I know. My movie about angels is owned by the devil himself. But I heard recently that he might have sold it to somebody. Which, if that's the case, then perhaps it'll come back out. But yeah, I guess dogma has like kind of a long tail because of Catholicism. But generally, most of the shit I think dies with me. I mean, let's be honest, most of the shit I make dies before it even comes out. But I do think once I'm done talking about like fucking Kevin Smith and tough fucking for his career, I don't think anyone else continues the conversation. I think they're all like, is he gone? All right, now we can stop fucking talking about his terrible movies. That's how I assume the world will be.
Well, I've loved you forever, and I have a pride for both you have, and please don't forget.
Done and done, man. I'm gonna remember this. I'll trust you in my house. Give it up for Megan, everybody. What's your name?
Larry, but
Come on,
if you
give it up
follow
for
me
Larry.
on
Larry's talking, man.
if you follow me on Twitter, I'm Son of Adam, legendary. So my mom loves you. She stumbled on you by accident because she loves Alan Rickman, so Dogma. She has the entire anthology, so that's why I came to you. We actually have a copy of Dogma, so if anybody needs it, I got you.
That's very rare.
Of course, of course. But I just want to say, first of all, thank you for being you, because you have this unique essence about you that you make cool shit, you're famous, but you're not an asshole about it. And so I think that is what makes you relatable.
Except here, I'll be honest with you, never drive around me. Like I agree, I'm actually a pretty nice guy. But in a car, I'm a fucking complete asshole.
Truly know it. I got you.
Yes, I drive very competitively, and all the goodwill I built up with the movies goes away instantly if somebody's like, piece of shit, Kevin Smith. And mostly they say, there goes Silent J. So they get it wrong anyway. But other than that, though, I think I think because I've never thought of myself as famous or successful, that it's kept me very grounded. In my mind, like 3 out of 400 people know who I am, 2 of them like me. So, but you add that up across the world, that's a pretty decent number. They say if you can get 1,000 people a month to pay you to do whatever it is you do, quit your job because that's your fucking career. And I know I got like more than 1,000 worldwide and stuff. So I know I've got an interest enough to keep a career going as long as I have, but I'm like my worst critic. As much as I'm my biggest fan, I'm also like, anyone can do this shit. Like, and I picked a very rarefied lane of filmmaking, which is Kevin Smith movies. Most people try to make good movies, and I'm like, no, I'll just do this. Like, it worked once, I'm gonna keep this shit going until I drop it. But it's so, this is something as I get older, this is a new phenomenon that I'm experiencing, which I absolutely love. When somebody goes, my mom loves your shit, and introduced me to it. We spent like, 4 or 5 months on the James Bob Reboot Roadshow tour. Went to like 65 cities and shit. And I watched the movie with like 1,000 people every night and shit. It was wonderful. But we did Q&A afterwards. And invariably, there would be like some young person standing up who clearly could not have been engaged with this shit when it happened. Like, they must have been born in the 90s, to say the least. And so they'll get up and start talking, and I'll be like, what the fuck? Like, why do you know this old man shit? Like, why do you know these old ass characters? And why are you here? Why did you pay $75 to watch a movie? Like, I get why the old people did, because we're old. And like anything that makes us feel young is valuable, right? I'll pay for that experience to chase my youth again. But what is a 20-year-old fucking doing here, man? When you could be doing anything else? And they would be like, my mother where father introduced me to your movies. We used to watch them together, and I'd be like, what kind of fucking irresponsible parent introduced you to this shit? And invariably, the person next to them stands up and puts their hand up. And it's this person my age or a little older who has liked my movies enough to share them with their children. That is fucking mind-bending. If I can go back to the beginning and tell the fucking dopey-ass kid who's like, maybe I can make a movie in the convenience store, that this is where it leads. Like to a moment where somebody young is like, somebody older than me gave this to me. And I'll tell you right now, it's going to be with you like herpes for the rest of your fucking life. Because it was given to you by somebody you fucking dearly love and care about. Let me tell you something. There's some movies that I will own in every format that's ever created. And one of them is The World According to Garp, which I saw with my father in 1982. And I saw him cry during the movie. It blew me away. Like, I didn't come from a generation of kids that saw their parents cry and shit. They were very stalwart. And he was that guy. But there he was, moved by some fucking art, some made-up bullshit on the fucking screen. And me at an impressionable young age to be like, you can do that? You're allowed to fucking cry at something that's not real? And this is one of the most pragmatic motherfuckers I've ever met in my life. He wasn't a dreamer by any stretch of the imagination, man. And there he was, moved by stuff. And what he was moved by made an impact on me. So whenever I think of The World According to Garp, think about my dad instantly. Any format that movie's been in, I've owned it in and stuff. Hearing that it was passed on to you by a parent, that just says to me, as the guy who makes this shit and has a hand or interest in prolonging this until I drop dead, I'm like, good, I got one more. And somebody else hooked you for me, man. So, is mom still around?
Oh, yeah.
Please.
I just told her.
Do you have a phone?
Yeah.
Let's fucking shoot a message for her. What? You gotta come up here with me. I love to direct. All right, so we're gonna start on you, and you're gonna say, "Mom, somebody has a message for you." Then I'm gonna do a message, and then I'm gonna turn it on to you guys, and you're all gonna. I'm gonna say, and I think the audience agrees with me here. And when I turn around, you all go, "Wow!" There it is. Ready? What's her name? You think we? Hold on. I heard a directing note. I'm up for notes. Explain the opposite. Explain. What do you mean? Start on the audience and then finish?
Okay.
I see. All right, so here, does mom have a great sense of humor?
She does.
All right, mom has a great sense of humor, so take two. We got a note.
She likes Kevin Smith movies.
Good point, then she might like this. See, man, you always gotta be, modify your expectations. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna say some shit, and then I'm gonna turn the camera to you guys, and I should do it this way, because that's more cinematic. When I turn it this way, everyone goes, "Fuck you, mom!" It's gonna be magic. Alright, here we go. We're looking up here to the left, right? Starting with you. Alright, everybody be quiet until it's your turn. We don't want her to know you're here. And here we go.
Teresa, this is a message from your legendary son.
Teresa, let me tell you something. The fact that you passed on my bullshit to your legendary son makes me so fucking appreciative, man. I'm gonna live forever because of people like you, man. Thank you for being the kind of irresponsible parent that shares Kevin Smith nonsense with your son. And I think the audience would agree with me here.
Fuck you, Mom!
I completely misread that.